Some More Outdoor, episode 22.
Welcome to Some More Outdoor, where we speak with authors, entrepreneurs, and business owners about how the outdoors has affected their life and their projects. This show is to remind you of the healing properties of the outdoors. So, are you ready to learn what the nature effect can do for your life? Well, here's your host, Brett Trout.
Well, hello, S'more Country, and welcome to another episode of S'more Outdoor. I'm your host and personal outdoor advocate, Brett Trout, and this is a show dedicated to reminding you to get out and experience the nature effect. My goal is to help you reestablish your connection with nature so that you can start living with childlike wonder again. Well, I'm just so excited to be here today because it's my honor to share my passion for the outdoors and how the outdoors can really have an impact in your life. Today's topic episode is something that I'm so passionate about. It kind of really stems from the industry that I have been in for the last 12 years in the cell phone technology industry and my love for the outdoors. A while ago, I was trying to figure out what kind of message that I wanted to share with people. What was I really passionate about the outdoors and how, or at least what experiences have I had that can help me share this message with you. And so a while ago, I'd come across a book, and I'll talk about it in the show in a little bit, but it really just inspired me about my message. And so I started diving in and doing a lot of research around the impact of technology and the impact that the outdoors can both have in our life. And so today's topic episode is titled Embrace Technology and the Outdoors to Make You Smarter. So, your typical day probably looks something like this. You wake up in the morning to an alarm that you've probably set on your smartphone. You roll out of bed and not really motivated to go to work, maybe even dreading the day. But it's what you have to do. You meander over to your phone, you hit the snooze button. Well, unless, of course, you've got your phone right next to your bed, which isn't good anyways. But then you just roll over and hit the snooze because you just need another 10 minutes. The alarm goes off again, but you know that you definitely have to get up this time. So you walk out to the kitchen to get the coffee going. Maybe while the coffee's brewing, you head back to the bathroom, sit down and start checking your email. Maybe even some of you don't even get out of bed before doing this. But you start deleting things that you won't read, and you spend a few minutes on the social networks to see what you missed overnight, like people were up overnight, right? So you go out to get your coffee, you turn on the news, grab some breakfast, you just want to see what's happening in the world. Maybe the kids are up or they're just starting to wake up. So you go greet them, give them a hug, and do what you need to do to get them ready for school. Then soon enough, you're off to work. You're driving, you're sitting in traffic, there's people honking, cutting you off, and the noise is just unbearable, the sound as well as the visual noise. And all this time, you're thinking about the day, and you're thinking about, if the weekend could come sooner, or maybe if you're thinking about, where you want to go on your next vacation because you just need a break. And then the day's over. Your work day's finally over, but you still have to battle your way home in traffic. You get home, you say hi to everybody, see how their day was. Then soon enough, dinner's ready. And you grab your plate, quickly eat the food, maybe talking about your day. Maybe you don't even want to talk about your day because it might not have been a very good one. Then you plop down on the couch in front of the TV, or maybe you get on the computer. You just need a few hours to unwind from your day. And that's kind of what you need before you head off to bed. You're lying in bed, right? And you just can't go to sleep because you've got so much on your mind. Maybe you pull out your phone or your tablet and you start doing some research on the web, or you just start looking for stuff to help you go to sleep. And then all of a sudden you realize, what? Tomorrow you're going to have to do it all over again. This may be your typical day. It may not, but it's probably pretty close to the typical day most of you have. And it's the lifestyle that most of us didn't expect to have or maybe even want. And we're filled with doing something, or we're not fulfilled with doing something that we totally love to do. We're just unsettled and can't really seem to get ahead in our life. And technology has really had a huge impact on it. It's taken over our lives, and as technology advances, it's going to continue to do so. I remember a time when I was growing up that, we didn't have all these gadgets. We didn't have phones that we could use in high school. It was a time when we had to wait to get home if we wanted to call anybody. It was a time that if we wanted to write to somebody, we actually had to write it on a piece of paper, and we actually put thought into everything that we did. I also remember a time back then when the future was actually, even though we didn't know it, was being created through the minds of those people that were making TV shows and those that were making movies like Star Trek and Star Wars. And we're there now. Technology is here, and it's amazing to me. We may not be living in space like they wrote about. Well, at least not yet anyway. But we've got technology in the palm of our hand and in every room of our house. It's everywhere we go. Technology is there. And there's really no way for the average person to get away from it, even if they wanted to. And as much as I'm an advocate for the outdoors and breaking away from your electrical paradise, I know that unless you become a hermit or go off the grid and live in the woods for a while, it's just going to be a part of your life. So my recommendation is use it the best that you can, and make sure that you use it to change the way that you live your life for the better. Maybe you need to or want to start a business. So use it to start a business and grow a business. Use it to stay connected within reason, of course. You don't need to be checking your social networks all the time, but stay connected with those that matter most to you, and really get whatever message that you want to share with the world, get it out to the world. And that's how technology has just been a huge part of us being able to connect with people and help people around the world. But don't lose focus on creating some type of balance in your life. I believe that even though we can't have complete balance in our life, we've got to have some type of balance. And as I've studied this topic around how the nature effects can have an impact in our life, and today's topic specifically, I'm really intrigued by all the information that I find. I love information just like you do, but I really study more along the lines, I guess you would say, of personal development and how I can get ahead in life and just different things that I'm interested in. And one of the most amazing books that I've read relating to my topic of the outdoors and the impact the outdoors can have on everyone is called The Nature Principle. And there's a chapter in the book called The Hybrid Mind. And I was really blown away by this. But Richard Louv, who's the author of the book, says, "There's no denying the benefits of the internet, but electronic immersion, without a force to balance it, creates the hole in the boat, draining your ability to pay attention, to think clearly, to be productive and creative. The best antidote for negative electronic information immersion will be an increase in the amount of natural information we receive. The more high-tech we become, the more nature we need." And in this chapter on the hybrid mind, he references a book called iBrain, which me wanting to get more information on this topic and learn about our minds and how nature can affect our mind, I obviously immediately went out and bought it. And so the book talks about this current time in history. Our brains are evolving dramatically. And they reference that how during the 20th century, the printing press, electricity, the telephone, automobiles, and air travel were all major technological innovations that greatly affected our lifestyle and our brains. And they go on to say that the medical discoveries have brought us advances that would have been considered science fiction just decades ago. So kind of like the technology discoveries that we have today were science fiction, a few decades ago. But this book also references a study that was done about the impact that technology has on brain activity. The people that were doing the study, their hypothesis was to find out if computer searches and other online activities cause measurable and rapid alterations to brain neural circuitry. And they were specifically interested in people without previous computer experience. So they wanted to test their hypothesis by finding a group of people in their mid-50s and 60s who hadn't been exposed to computers, and a group of people that were comparable in age that were techno-savvy. So the study was to find out how the simple task of finding information on Google would have an effect on their brain activity. The book obviously goes into more detail on this, but what they found was amazing to me. They looked at the brain activity of the computer savvy group and saw that they used a specific network in the left front part of their brain called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And the people who had never used a computer before, they actually showed minimal to no activity in this part of their brain. So after 5 days of the study, after 5 days of them being on the internet, not all day long, of course, but the group who had never been on before were actually using the same network as those who had been online for a while. So what they concluded was that these people had actually rewired their brain. So there's definitely a lot more studies that need to take place, and I'm sure that there are people studying that today. But what they believe is that because we have all this information at our fingertips and we're using it to research and learn, it's creating more intelligent people. And the human mind is so amazing to me. It's an amazing thing. And to be able to find the information that we can so quickly and enhance our lives through this growing sea of information is incredible. But we do have to be careful of this electronic information immersion. The book, The iBrain, they also reference a lady. She's a software engineer. Her name was Linda Stone. And she describes that being constantly plugged into our high-tech revolution is like we are living in a state of continual partial attention. She says that our minds are constantly staying busy, keeping tabs on everything while never truly focusing on anything. And in the book, they go on to say, when paying partial, continuous attention, people may place their brains in a heightened state of stress. They no longer have time to reflect, contemplate, or make thoughtful decisions. Instead, they exist in a sense of constant crisis, on alert for new contact or bit of exciting news or information at any moment. Once people get used to this state, they tend to thrive on perpetual connectivity. It feeds their egos and sense of self-worth, and it just becomes irresistible. So, did I just describe you? Because I pretty much described me as well. But I like to say that this continual partial attention, in a nutshell, is the word distraction. If you've listened to the show for a while, you probably know how I feel about trying to eliminate the distractions from our digital world, right? It's to head outdoors to unplug. It excites me that I'm not alone in my search to understand the power that nature can have and the impact that it can have in the world that we live in today. And it's important for us to get outside as much as we can. One of the things that Richard says in his book is the ultimate multitasking will be to live simultaneously in both the digital and the physical world, using computers to maximize our powers, to process intellectual data, and natural environments to ignite all of our senses and accelerate our ability to learn and to feel. And I also love what he says. The future will belong to the nature smart. Those individuals, families, businesses, and political leaders who develop a deeper understanding of nature and who balance the virtual with the real. I'm so fascinated by this subject, and I really want to learn more about it. Especially knowing what I know now about the impact that the outdoors has had on me, and also the industry that I worked in. As much as I believe that you should spend a lot more time outdoors than you're doing now, just getting away from your electrical paradise, I do understand that technology is here to stay, and it's going to be a part of our life. But don't let everything go to waste. Don't let the world around you go to waste. Don't live your life with continual partial attention. Get outdoors so that you can fully come alive and be aware and be immersed in that world around you. Understand the power of technology in your life and how to use the outdoors to ignite all your senses so you can embrace technology and the outdoors to make you smarter. And I hope that today I've kind of showed you how to do that. And even though you may not think that you're like this genius, or you may not think that you are getting any smarter, learn how to balance the two. Learn how to balance. You can't have complete balance in technology and nature. It's just not practical. But learn how to break away and give some sort of balance to your life by getting outdoors, getting away from the computer screen, getting away from your phone, and just unplugging for a while, taking a digital sabbatical, as I've heard it being called, and just getting out there. And like he said, and like I just mentioned, ignite your senses to fully come alive. So that's it for another episode of S'more Outdoor. Man, I love being here. I love sharing the information that I do with you guys. And, because a lot of you probably won't read the books that I read, or, don't have a passion to learn about how the outdoors has an impact in your life, or can have an impact in your life. And so that's why I'm here, to help share that with you. And it's just an honor to be here. It's an honor to have you all listening in. It's an honor to receive the feedback that I've been getting. And speaking of feedback, I want to just kind of give a few shout outs today from the last few weeks of ratings and reviews on my podcast in iTunes. And so from Jen, she left a nice review and a 5-star rating. I've got Mark that left a 5-star rating and review. AKI 1920 left a 5-star rating and review. Nikki L left a 5-star rating and review. To-dos Before I Do, they left me a rating and review of 5 stars. And Jared Easley left a 5-star rating and review and says Brett rocks. So thanks guys for that. It really helps me, and helps me understand that I am having an impact on people's lives. Also, if you know anyone that may need help in this area, that's just struggling, they're stressed, things just aren't going well for them, maybe they don't listen to podcasts at all, send them a link to my show, or send them a link to the website. Another way you can do this actually is I'll have the show notes over there. You can just click on the email button and email the show to your friends and family. That way, they can learn about it as well, and they can reconnect with nature. They can start living with childlike wonder again. They can understand the impact that technology and the outdoors can have, in helping them get smarter as well. So thank you again for tuning in to the show that's changing lives around the world. Until next time, I challenge you to do something this week to get s'more outdoor.